Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Daryl Scott, and thank you, everyone, for attending this morning's webinar on HUBZone program. My name is Daryl Scott, as I said. I'm team lead of the ACT-IX Small Business Alliance HUBZone Community of Interest. Looks like I need a pair of glasses. I can see you now, but I, I can't when I take them up, but I can read. Yeah, I need to take them up to read the notes. As my day job, I am Director of Partner Relations for America's division of Serco, a 120,000 person global company that specializes in service delivery excellence in 5 market segments: defense, transportation, health, justice, and business process operations. For more information on the Americas division of Serco, please visit www.serco-na.com. Into the commercial. Uh, Small businesses are a driving force in the United States economy. Over 90% of U.S. employers are small businesses. Studies show that small firms produce twice as many innovations as large firms relative to the number of persons employed. ACT-IAC is committed to fostering the growth of small businesses and ensuring that they continue to play an important role in the government information technology marketplace, which is why ACT-IAC launched the Small Business Alliance in 2014. This member-focused group is chartered to promote the interests and contributions of small business through programs and events like this one, designed to increase member engagement, enable stronger liaison across ACT-IAC offerings, and provide in-depth community of interest specific to the affinity of small businesses, tailored to the varying levels of maturity of our members. By the way, ACT-IAC's membership is comprised 60% of small businesses. There is a community of interest for each socioeconomic category, including SDVSB, women-owned small business, SDBs, and of course, HUBZone firms. There is a team lead for each community of interest, and I'm the team lead for the HUBZone program. And I decided to put on a webinar to increase people's awareness and knowledge of the benefits of the HUBZone program. And we've been fortunate enough to be joined by the HUBZone program leadership of the Small Business Administration, who will be presenting the presentation today. And to my left will be the presenters, including Cassandra Fuchs. She is currently serving as supervisor of the SBA's HUBZone program. She plays a major part in overseeing the day-to-day operations, personnel, and decision-making process for the HUBZone program, which helps small businesses in urban and rural communities gain preferential access to federal procurement opportunities. Ms. Fuchs has been with the SBA for over 15 years and served in several offices, including the Small Disadvantaged Business Program Office and Office of Government Contracting while at the SBA. Ms. Fuchs was recently honored by the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve for her outstanding service to military personnel. She received the highest recognition, the Pro Patria Award, and the 2014 Above and Beyond Award, which is intended to honor employers that have gone above and beyond the legal requirements of the Uniform Service Employment and Redemption Rights Act by providing their Guard and Reserve employees additional non-mandated benefits such as differential or full pay to offset lost wages, extended health benefits, and other similar benefits. To Cassandra's left is Mr. Derek Brown. Derek Brown joined SBA's HUBZone program in 2013 after 16 years of service to the Commonwealth of Virginia. At the Commonwealth of Virginia, he served as a business development specialist for the Department of Minority Business Enterprise. In that position, he helped companies with certification, marketing, bid, loan, and bonding preparation. As a previous business owner, Derek built a firm foundation for understanding the needs of small businesses. He is active in the community and volunteers his time coaching baseball to youth. To Derek's left is Takesha Hodge. Takesha will be answering your questions that you pose at the end of the presentation and perhaps throughout as required. Takesha serves as a business opportunity specialist with the Small Business Administration's HUBZone program. Takesha has been with the HUBZone program for over 9 years, first as a contractor and currently as a federal employee. She is responsible for the initial certification and continuing eligibility. Takesha has a great passion for assisting small businesses. She carries a wealth of knowledge regarding program policies and procedures and has worked in several capacities within the HUBZone program. In her personal life, she is a co-founder of Blending Beauties, a multicultural culinary club, and enjoys traveling as well as spending time with her family and friends. Last but not least is Ms. Tracy Ebb Murphy, and she'll be answering questions that you might pose. Tracy joined SBA in 1998, focusing on the HUBZone program. Prior to working for SBA, she devoted 9 years of service to Prince George's Minority Business Council and Baltimore County Public School System. Ms. Ebb Murphy is a graduate of Bowie State University. Again, thank you everyone for participating. At the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, please let's get them out on the table, not only for yourselves, but for other people who are joining us online and for future playback. I present to you Ms. Cassandra Fuchs.
Good morning. Thank you, Daryl, for having us here. I guess we're going to get started. I'm going to do part of the HUBZone presentation, and I'm going to have Derek Brown do the first part of it. So with that being said, Derek. You just use these buttons here to do the screen. Okay.
Good morning. All right. Some of the information I will discuss will not be on the actual slides, but we will discuss it. I'll try to be as clear as possible. But let's get started with a quick history. Why is it important to read the quick history? In 1996, U.S. Senator. Oh, I'm sorry. Did he go? Okay. In 1996, U.S. Senator Christopher Kit Bond, then chairman of the Small Business Committee, crafted legislation to link preferences to award federal contracts to small businesses located in economically dormant and underserved areas, which he called hub zones. The program's purpose: to provide federal contracting assistance to qualified small business concerns located in historically underutilized business zones, hub zones, to increase employment opportunities, to stimulate capital investment in those areas, and to empower communities through economic leveraging and the multiplier effect. And down at the bottom is a definition of the multiplier effect. But basically, it's just basically we spend money. It's sort of helps other people spend money for other people to spend money to, and it's a domino effect. Now, this particular information that I'm going to discuss is not on the slide, but to reiterate, the program is designed to help small firms in certain communities to gain access to federal contract opportunities. Hub zone areas, typically areas of low, medium household incomes or high unemployment, or both. At any given time, there are approximately 4,500 small firms certified in the Hub Zone program. All right. Now, there are 4 types of Hub Zones: a qualified non-metropolitan county, a qualified census tract, Indian land, a qualified base closure area. All right. These areas change multiple times a year. Areas become newly qualified, redesignated, or lose qualification altogether. Okay. When a county or a tract loses its HUBZone qualification, it is redesignated for 3 years. And we can go back and explain the redesignation, but I will explain that a little bit later. This particular information that I'm going to say now is not in. But determining hub zones, SBA uses and obtains information from several agencies. All right. The way SBA uses this data is to indicate hub zone is determined by law. But please remember, because we get a lot of calls, you know, I'm in a hub zone area. Uh, we don't have any economic uh, 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 basically we're not spending anything. This area is low. We don't have SBA does not have the authority to decide a particular area. Um, what SBA that's usually done through other agencies. One agency is the Census Bureau. Now, how do you find hub zone designated areas? Now, this is not on the slide, but the best way is to go onto our website at map.sba.gov, and you can plug in your address and your city, and it will come up to whether or not you are hub zone qualified or not hub zone qualified. Now, if that address does not come up, then you can do it by coordinates, where you can find out where your latitude and longitude coordinates are, and that can find it. Usually, that's a little more accurate. So it just depends on whether or not we've updated in the system. But we're pretty much uh, on point with that. Now, qualified census tracts. Once you find it, a census tract is a statistical subdivision of counties to include just a few neighborhoods in a city or in rural areas, may include several towns. Uh, HUD designates qualified census tracts for the purpose of low-income housing and tax credit. To qualify, census tracts must either demonstrate a poverty rate of at least 25%, or 50% or more of its households must have incomes below 60% of the median household income. Okay, that's not on, that particular one is not on this. All right, I will scroll down when it's on there. I'm sorry for this, but I will scroll. Now, redesignated area tracts, and we talked about that previously. A redesignated area tracts or counties are redesignated for 3 years after the date which the tract or county ceases to be qualified due to changes in income, employment, or poverty data. And let me just explain something. Let's say you put in your address and it says redesignated to October 2015. Well, unless it's designated as a qualified census tract after October 2015, it's not going to be a hub zone anymore. All right. Now, the benefits. All right. HUBZone eligibility requirements. No. Let me explain the benefits of HUBZone first. HUBZone programs, the benefits you have: set aside awards, sole source awards, and awards through full and open competition after application of 10% price evaluation, called the PEP. And then we have subcontracting opportunities. And we can hold questions. I'm sure someone's going to have questions about that, or someone will have questions about that. And I guess it's on you. All right.
Okay, this is the favorite part. Do we have any HUBZone qualified companies in here, or anyone looking to be HUBZone qualified? You are HUBZone qualified? Looking to be. You are? Okay, great. How long have you been HUBZone certified? Okay. And how has it been for you? Been working for you?
Good. I mean, there's no questions, some questions on the slide, and you mentioned there, but
Well, the first thing that you must meet to be HUBZone qualified, oops. Okay, first, your business must be small. And your business must meet your like next code. Like say if your next code is $3.5 million, your business and any other businesses that you own cannot go over $3.5 million. So your business must be small, according to your next code. Um, the second thing is that your firm must be 51% owned by by U.S. citizens. It cannot be owned by other companies. Um, say if Derek owns 49% of his company, and his other company owns 51%. His firm does not qualify because it's owned by a business, not a person, U.S. citizen. Um, and a lot of companies say, well, the business is owned by a person, U.S. citizen, but that does not qualify. And the next thing is that at least 35% of your total company employees must live in a qualified HUB zone. 35%. And the last thing is that your principal office must be in a qualified HUB zone area. If you have like two offices, locations, if one is in a qualified HUB zone and if one is not, say if you have 5 people working at the HUB zone office and if you have 7 people working at the non-HUB zone office, would you meet the principal office? Who said yes? And who says something else? Who said? You said no. Correct. No. Why? Because principal office is where the greatest number of your firms and employees work. So the greatest number would be working at the non-HUB zone office. The qualified HUB. Right. They have to work at the office, principal office. Now, you can have people working out at job sites. We don't care who works out at job sites. Exactly.
So if your back office, where you have the accounting, HR, you're most of your employees, or actually you have another office in maybe your principal office, if you had a bulk of developers, say, working in one area. Right? So the thing is, if we're professional services companies, and we've got the bulk of our employee base is at government site all the time, the number of those employees that are on site don't count against identifying the whole number of the 35% of the employees.
No, now you're kind of mixing up principal office with 35%.
Okay.
So.
I have the same question he does, though, right? So your business is a little mature, you have contracts, you have most people out. So you're saying, let's say you only have 10 people that are like back office, you're not billable. So the majority of those, I guess, have to be in that principal office.
Take an example.
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
So we actually have 3 different offices. We have one on the city campus, essentially. We have one in Annapolis Junction, which is our back office. And then we have our principal office, which is in Cambridge, which is our HUB zone. So to your point, we have a number of developers and folks out, let's say PHS, PC. 35% of our employees are in the Cambridge office. So even though we have a number of different people externally on client site, that's the 35%. We have the appropriate percentage of people in our Cambridge office so that it is our principal office. So we have the largest percentage of people on any site in our Cambridge office. So again, 2 different concepts there. But the question is a good one. When you have
I think the difference for me is principal office I get. The majority of our employees that are working on anything.
Right.
But there's also that tie that 35% of your employees overall.
Even those that are off, working on client site, off you know, wherever they may be, the
Must be.
total number, 35% of that total number needs to be
Living in a hub zone.
living in the HUBZone, correct.
and reside is important because we have folks that live in the hub zone area that commute out to other offices and do some work 1 or 2 days out of the week, but they reside in the hub zone.
So did you, your business kind of organically develop to those metrics, or do you actually have to consciously kind of deploy people?
Depends on your growth model, right?
Okay.
I mean, if we're seeing a lot of benefits that come out of the HUBZone program, so part of our strategy is to look at those metrics and kind of hire to it. You find that, you know, you'll approach HUBZone in different ways. Our CEO approaches it from a perspective that they really value what we're providing to the communities in the context of employment in dollars. So, so we really bought into it. So we continue to hire college students, Salisbury, and other schools in Cambridge. We funnel students, new hires into our Cambridge office and grow them through that office. So that's just our model, right? But to your point, it really depends.
So I think one of the things I'm hearing is that you really have to develop that into your strategy from the very onset.
You do.
Okay.
Or you grow out of it fast.
As you grow,
Yeah, right, because you can get
to consistently monitor those percentages are
disproportionately.
difficult. So you really have to have a growth strategy that really incorporates this program and considers it in the context of.
And your students, interns, whatever I mean, even for 40 hours a month would count as an employee against that.
So I don't know if you guys can cover.
Yes, we cover students and, yeah, interns, as long as they work 40 hours per month.
Correct.
That's the minimum, 40 hours
Thank you for that.
Per month?
per month, 40 hours per month. And the rule changed because it was, 35 hours per week? Yeah, 35 hours per week, but they changed it to 40 hours per month to make it easier.
Right.
And there are some, like, flags that, like, go up, like we have companies that say that their office is in Maryland. But all of their employees live in, let's just say, Jersey, New Jersey. That's going to raise a red flag for us. Why? Because of the distance. But those are things that we do see.
How often do you check?
Okay, when you say check, what do you mean?
I mean,
I think
Site visit or something?
to look for abuses of the system.
Every day.
Okay.
Daily, yes, daily. And then, if, like, we see something like that, then we may come out to you and ask you, like, 1 million questions, and for, like, 1 million documents. So, and the regs, HUBZone regs can be found on, 13 CFR parts 126 to 126, 900. And we do have HUBZone assistance on every Tuesday and every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. And our toll-free number is 888-858-2144. Access code is 1875223#. And that's every Tuesday and Thursday, where firms could, like, call in and ask questions. Have you ever used that? Anybody ever used that?
Will you repeat that information?
Okay. It's on every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 3 Eastern. And it's 1-888-858-2144. Access code is 1875223#. And I'm sorry, guys, I just got braces in my mouth, and it is not comfortable. So, and then we also have the HUBZone help desk at HUBZone@sba.gov, and that's monitored daily. So I think that's about all that I have, unless you have any questions for me about the 4 eligible. Go ahead. You have a question?
On the SBA map.
Mm-hmm.
Looking on the map, you've got the yellow areas like Chinatown that are under being redistricted. But the orange area, which says which is a HUBZone area, I found a little bit surprising where some of those locations are, like Farragut North and Main that part didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I would have expected it to be in other areas.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of areas that are HUBZone qualified that don't make sense to me.
I mean, even in like Arlington or Bailey's Cross, it
Mhm.
almost looks like a neighborhood.
Mhm.
So it just seemed a little bit
Right.
arbitrary.
Are you saying that you think it should be HUBZone qualified, or?
I'm thinking there are some
Surprise.
things that just, it doesn't look like, why is this particular neighborhood
Right.
of this division HUBZone qualified?
Right.
It looks like it's just gerrymandered in there.
Right.
Or a square block in,
Mhm.
say, Silver Spring, or one building
Right.
in DC.
Right.
It's just a little different.
Yeah, it is.
But the
And
orange,
then,
the orange sites on the map are up to date, and they're good for, until they get redistricted. About 5 years. And then the redistricting is what, a 3-year period?
3.
It's effectively giving a business a time to either move to another location or graduate from it.
Right.
So the redistricting, so for 3 years, so the company would still, for the next 3 years, still be considered HUBZone unless and if they don't move to another HUBZone, then they will not be? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, like there are some areas who just lost designation on the 1st, October 1st.
Okay,
They just lost their designation.
okay.
So there's changes in the hub zones every year, right?
Every 3 years. Yes, some of them annually, but most every 3 years.
And to answer your question, you can have a particular block hub zone, this one not hub zone,
Right.
next one hub zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds, I understand what you're saying, but sometimes it's like that.
And that's figured out via census?
Census, based on census.
Okay,
It's important to fill out the census.
right, exactly, okay.
Mhm. And also, I want to mention affiliation. We don't normally get into, affiliation. We do it on like a case-by-case basis. But if you are applying for the HUBZone program, but your other company is not, we may look at both companies to see if you meet HUBZone qualifications by combining them. That's a great possibility. Especially if both companies do the same services, they have the same owners, they're at the same office, they're sharing phones, they're sharing.
Okay, so I've done a search on different HUBZone companies, and it's surprising to find like 3 or 4 with the same exact address, with the same exact suite number. I guess that, 3 people could share an office and they could all be HUBZone.
Could be, yeah.
Does that raise a red flag?
It doesn't raise a red flag, but it raises some extra work as to whether or not we should, combine those 2 companies.
When you combine the 2 companies, although there's no affiliation between the 2, the ownership of the 2 companies?
What do you mean?
Well,
No, if they have the same owners, then there is affiliation.
so one set of owners or one entity that owns it, one
Mhm.
still falls as small business. They may have multiple small businesses.
Right. And we're going to combine them all. We may combine them all
To what purpose?
because those companies are acting as, because we find that those companies are acting as just one.
They're acting as one.
They're acting
Okay.
as one.
And therefore, combined together, they may not be small anymore? Or they may not be within the HUBZone?
All
Okay.
of the above, yes.
Mm.
Sure.
When you apply for the program, we're going to ask for information as it relates to affiliate firms. So when you apply online, even on the application, it will ask if you have affiliate companies. So you can put the information there, but we will come back and ask for additional information concerning those companies.
No, we're going through
Yeah.
we're collecting all the
Yeah,
documents that are required now.
Each case, each application is different. But if we have any questions during the review process, we will definitely, reach out to a company and say, we need information concerning this company. Or if we have any questions concerning the affiliate firms, we're gonna reach out to the company and ask those questions.
Understood.
Okay. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is contractors. If I have a company and it's just me as the owner, and let's just say I have Derek doing some work for me, contractor, would I count him as my employee?
If he's a 1099, he's not an employee.
Well, in this case, we could count him, depending on a lot of options, depending on if I'm paying Dirk, if Dirk's using my same office, if Dirk's using my same email, address, if Dirk is signing my contracts for me, then we may say is not contracted. He is an actual
He's
employee.
functioning as an employee, right?
Right. So those are the type of things that we see.
So what if he doesn't live in a hub zone? Does that count against your 35%?
Yes.
And what if he
If
does live in a
if we count him as an employee. Now, if we don't count him, then he's fine. We're fine.
Interesting.
Yeah, that can get
And Cassandra lives in a hub zone, then it doesn't matter.
right. It doesn't matter because you're me anyway.
Because it'd be 50%.
Right.
Okay.
Right. One of the other things I would like to mention is that, example, if Derek has a firm, applying, and if his wife has her own businesses, we may ask for documentation for his wife's business to see if there's any conflict or any like sharing or
Like sharing of resources or
sharing of
something?
resources, employees, equipment,
Mhm.
space,
Okay.
contracts. Right. So that's where it gets a little, confusing.
You guys have a lot of work, don't you?
Yes. Yes. What else? Can you think of anything else that I missed?
When you're calculating for your 35%, you're gonna multiply the number of employees that work a minimum of 40 hours a month, but you're gonna round that number up. So whatever, once you calculate, if you doing 2 employees and you're multiplying it by 35%, whatever that percentage is, you're gonna round it up to the next number. So, keep that in mind. Sometimes we have companies that will apply and they'll just look at that.
They're right on the bubble, right?
2.2 and say, well, I have 2, but not knowing that they need 2. So when you're doing the calculation, keep that in mind.
Oh, so any percentage always goes up, not just if it's under 0.5, it's still going to go up to the next full number. Oh,
You have 10
okay.
employees, you just know you need to have 4.
Okay. Right, okay, I gotcha.
Takesha, you want to tell them about the dates, importance of the date?
I was going to mention that. Also, in speaking to you, you are considering applying for the program.
Yes.
Keep in mind the date of application, the date that you electronically verify your application, because that will be the qualifying date of your payroll. So you want to make sure that you provide payroll that includes that date and 3 weeks prior.
That's why we're going through all the, SBA is great. The site is phenomenal. It has, especially the list of required documents. It is a perfect checklist to go through. And I absolutely get that part of it. And we want to make sure everything's in line, because I think the site also says it's about a 90-day turnaround time for application review and approval, or not. Is that right? Oh, come on, you're smiling.
You gotta round up. It depends.
Gotta round up.
To the nearest year.
More on the roundup side, but we work.
But everybody in this room gets a kind of like a step up, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know about that one. I'd say about 120 days, but it depends on the complexity of the application, because you have some firms, you have some business owners who own a whole lot of stuff, and then so there's an affiliation, so then we have to consider totality of circumstance, and then you have some of them that just cut and dry, so it just depends on the complexity of the application.
Now, does your firm have affiliates?
No.
No?
That I hesitate for a second. The owner. Yeah, that's the other part too.
It's all being taped, Joe. Be careful.
They don't know I am.
Joe?
I'm I'm talking about the audience, not folks that may be out there. I'm trying to think of a different owner, and this is an interesting point too, because it has to all come back to small business. If the owner has other entities, and the owner, that the 51% ownership has other entities, then that's all got to factor in as well. Okay.
Because we're gonna need, depending on your firm's NAICS code, if it's employee-based, then we're gonna need, 12 months of your state and federal unemployment tax filing.
Okay.
If it's, revenue-based, then we're gonna need 3 years of your most recently filed corporate income tax return.
And the company doesn't
return
have 3 years.
For the firm and its affiliates.
Okay. That's another thing too. It's applying for a GSA schedule typically requires around 2 years of existing business and set of books and past performance. What's required on the HUBZone? Someone
You
just.
can start up and apply for the program. And one thing I would like to add is when you're applying for the program, when in doubt, please contact us.
Yes.
Because that helps with the process as well. When we have to come back and request additional information, that, drags the process out. So when you're applying, look at that information that's on the checklist. We're asking for it, we need it. So if you're a business and some businesses, may not have stock certificates, but that's what we're gonna ask for. We're gonna ask for a stock list. We're gonna ask for bylaws and amendments to the bylaws. So everything that you see there, we need it. So, if you have a question about it, as Cassandra said, we have the help desk every day online, and we also have the office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you have any questions, you can definitely call in, and someone will be able to answer.
But be responsive, because we are not, we do not have to go back to your firm and request those documents. We can make a, recommendation based off of what you submitted. And if you submit an incomplete package, then you may be looking at adverse action.
Right, then you can go fix the problem and start another 120-day cycle if you're lucky.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
One of the other things I wanted to mention is, like, when you send us, like, things like driver's licenses, leases, and that's to prove, where someone lives, don't go get the driver's license on the day that you submit your HUBZone application, because that's going to raise, a red flag for us. Don't get the lease signed on the day that you send in your HUBZone application. That's going to raise a red flag for us. Because, like, they just got their driver's license. Everybody understand that? As to why